This is the story of Kurapika mastering Nen abilities and battling the Phantom Troupe. In the world of hunters, Nen abilities can be divided into 6 major systems: enhancement, transformation, emission, manipulation, conjuration, and the rarest, specialization. To become an excellent Nen user, one must first understand their own Nen system. Kurapika is indeed such a talented individual. Half a year later, Kurapika returned to the agency. The receptionist, with nails hammered into his face, was somewhat surprised by this. Compared to half a year ago, Kurapika had clearly learned Nen abilities, no longer invisible like before, and now qualified for employment. Going back half a year, although Kurapika had become a hunter, without mastering Nen abilities, despite the hardships of finding the agency, he could only leave in deep disappointment. After all, if Kurapika couldn't take on those Mafia tasks, he might never fulfill his own wishes. Lost and forlorn, he passed by a man carrying a sack on his back. Unexpectedly, this man, sensing Kurapika's heavy heart, fired a Nen bullet at him. Fortunately, Kurapika sensed it and dodged in time, or he would have been shot in the head. The man with the sack approached Kurapika, greeted him, and said that meeting by chance was fate. He even claimed that the earlier bullet was a guide from an elder to a younger one. But who guides like that? Kurapika then noticed that the man had taken his hunter license. Who boasted about his strength, making Kurapika somewhat angry. Therefore, he immediately took out his weapon to prepare for battle. However, after just one encounter, Kurapika was killed instantly, kneeling in humiliation on the ground, allowing the rain to soak his clothes completely. Thinking back to the scene where he was just asked to leave the ear-piercing clan, realizing how weak he was, and how distant his goal of avenging his tribe was, Kurapika's sorrow and indignation were overwhelming. Perhaps seeing his own reflection in Kurapika, or sensing the pressure Kurapika was under, the man with the burlap sack did not make things difficult for Kurapika. He not only returned the hunter license to Kurapika but also expressed his intention to teach him Nen. This was truly a benefactor. The man with the burlap sack became Kurapika's Nen ability master, named Izunavi, an important figure in Kurapika's life journey. After a period of practice, Izunavi finally had Kurapika test his water divination ability. As Kurapika concentrated, bringing his hands close to the cup, impurities quickly appeared in the water. Izunavi determined that Kurapika belonged to the conjuration type, skilled at materializing aura into objects. However, Kurapika was not very satisfied with this. He hoped to become an enhancement type Nen user. But Izunavi explained that Nen abilities are innate and cannot be changed. Nevertheless, there was a possibility of learning other Nen abilities. Izunavi wrote down the probabilities of learning other Nen abilities with a charcoal pencil. It could be seen that the closer the Nen ability was to conjuration, the higher the probability of mastering it. However, the probability of mastering a specialist type ability was 0 because this ability is very unique and requires special lineage or environment to learn. As a conjuration, Kurapika, who is a specialist in Nen abilities, can at most learn half the power of the enhancement system by force. Therefore, Izunavi suggests that Kurapika learn stable power, as once the conjuration system is finalized, it can unleash great power. Izunavi suggests that Kurapika first decide what weapon to conjure. Half a year has passed since the days of learning Nen, and now Kurapika has returned having mastered it. He finally has the ability to find an employer for missions. Kurapika wants to find an employer participating in the Yorknew City auction. So, with the help of the Hunter Association, a commission from a human collector looking for a bodyguard catches Kurapika's attention. This is definitely the person he has been looking for. Thinking of the tragic fate of his clan, his eyes suddenly emit a fiery red light at the edges. Kurapika recalls his choice from half a year ago when he wanted to conjure a weapon, a chain, to lock all the members of the Phantom Troupe in hell. Now the chain will finally come in handy. After leaving the commission office, Kurapika passes by Melody, who is making her first appearance. Melody can discern the emotions and spirits of others from their heartbeat. She heard intense anger from Kurapika's heartbeat, which caught Melody's attention. Interestingly, Melody then also arrived at the commission office. At the entrance of a hotel, a hot purple-haired beauty named Baze gets out of a car. She is a bodyguard protecting the man in the back seat of the car. However, as the two are about to enter the hotel, they are stopped by a group of suited thugs who are being disrespectful. The thugs even dare to harass Baze, and the man in the white suit demands that Baze protect him closely for the night. Upon hearing the provocative request, Baze unexpectedly steps forward and kisses him, causing a lightning bolt of love to explode in the man's heart. At this moment, Baze's 180-point love slave skill was activated. The man in the white suit had already turned into Baze's slave. It turned out that Bae's kiss was not a gift of goodwill, but a means to make the other party her servant. The man in the white suit knelt down and directly transformed into a lapdog. Whatever the master instructed, he would do. Bae ordered the man in the white suit to take out the other 3 men in black suits. Seeing such brutality on the scene, the man in the suit entrusted to Bae was instantly frightened. He immediately turned around and drove away. Bae sarcastically commented, "Now I have to find a new employer again." A few days later, Kurapika arrived at the employer's mansion as scheduled. It was a vast luxurious estate. As he passed through the iron gate and entered the castle, the old butler welcomed Kurapika. Many people were already waiting inside, including Melody and Bae. After the 16 reserve bodyguards gathered, the employer on the electronic screen began to explain the assessment task. He stated that if the 6 of them wanted to become official bodyguards, they had to find any item on the list. Kurapika kept looking at the data card and unexpectedly saw the eyeball of the Kurapika clan on the list. Seeing the crimson eyeballs immersed in the solution, Kurapika could not contain his emotions. His scarlet eyes were about to appear again. It should be noted that he was currently wearing contact lenses. The tall and slender Basho beside him even asked Kurapika what was wrong, as his expression was so grim. When he noticed Kurapika looking at the eyeball of the Kurapika clan, he casually made a few remarks. At this moment, Kurapika was desperately trying to control himself, and he excitedly told Basho to shut up. So this man, who seemed quite powerful, could only pretend that nothing had happened. Kurapika knew he must control his anger now and then complete the assessment perfectly in order to gain the trust of the employer. He was very clear that the man on the screen might just be a cover. He and a few others then planned to leave first. But Basho suddenly found that the door handle couldn't turn. At this moment, the client suddenly indicated on the screen that although finding the list of treasures was important, the level of strength of everyone was also a major focus. Therefore, there must be at least the strength to leave the mansion safely. A sound of explosion came from outside the door. In the smoke, a group of black-clothed people with knives and swords rushed out and quickly charged towards everyone. Facing these enemies, Kurapika resolutely stood at the forefront. He swung the chain jail on his ring finger, but seeing this scene, the black-clothed men immediately turned their knives into guns and continuously fired bullets. The people present either lifted tables to block or used the butler as a scapegoat. Only Kurapika used the spinning chain as a windmill to directly block all the bullets. This cool operation attracted everyone's attention. After shooting, the black-clothed men switched to knives for close combat. However, Kurapika dodged and maneuvered, and no one could land a hit on him. Kurapika jumped back onto the stairs. He wanted to observe the situation of the enemies from a high vantage point, but black-clothed men appeared on the second floor as well. They forced Kurapika onto the chandelier, but even so, they continued to wield their swords. At this time, Basho on the first floor took the initiative to strike the black-clothed men with iron fists. When he punched the black-clothed man, he seemed to sense something. At the same time, Kurapika also noticed something unusual on the chandelier. He immediately leaped down and held the monkey man at knife point. It turned out that Kurapika had deduced that the monkey man was the mastermind behind the black-clothed men. Kurapika demanded that the monkey man stop the black-clothed men's activities within 3 seconds. The threatened monkey man had no choice but to comply. As a result, all those black-clothed men turned into a single piece of clothing. It was unexpected that these black-clothed men were all puppets. At this moment, Basho also suddenly realized. No wonder he had felt something strange just now. However, even though he had discovered the true identity of the black-clothed men, he never expected that the monkey man was the mastermind behind them. Kurapika was indeed clever. The monkey man asked Kurapika how he had found out. Kurapika explained that he had a clear view from above. Because the monkey man was the only one not attacked by the black-clothed men, and when the black-clothed men on the second floor saw him jump onto the chandelier, they just gestured with their weapons in place. That's how Kurapika deduced that the monkey man was the mastermind behind it all and also an end-user specializing in emission. After being exposed, the monkey man had to admit that he was indeed the one behind it all. His name was Shachimono, a hunter hired by the boss to test everyone's strength. He just didn't expect to be discovered so quickly. Since he was not an enemy, Kurapika put down the knife. But then the monkey man started causing trouble again, saying that out of the 5 present, only 4 were applicants, so it was not certain that they could safely leave the mansion. This statement made everyone uneasy. Was what he said true? At this moment, Kurapika remained calm and composed. Since the possibility of a trap could not be ruled out, he decided to use his abilities to investigate one by one. Kurapika then lowered a chain with a small ball attached to it. He aimed the small ball at everyone, but it only moved when it reached the black man. The undercover investigation revealed that it was the black man. However, the black man was very angry and questioned what the swinging iron ball proved. At that moment, Melody explained that it was called a pendulum, which could be used for divination and to determine if someone was lying. The black man wanted to argue further, but Melody insisted that he was the undercover agent, demonstrating her ability to detect lies by listening to heartbeats. Now that both undercover agents had been exposed, Basho was eager to fight, but the black man resisted stubbornly and even tried to blame Kurapika and Melody. The black man accused Kurapika and Melody of conspiring against him, but Basho intervened. He took out a pen and wrote a haiku in his notebook: "Anything he beats will catch fire." This was his nen ability, Wandering Haiku Poet, which made his written haikus have real effects. In the astonished eyes of the others, Basho punched a chair, and indeed, the chair burst into flames. After demonstrating his ability to burn the chair, Basho wrote another haiku: "Anyone who does not answer truthfully will be burned to death." Basho began by asking each person present if they were undercover, and each person answered truthfully. Finally, it was the turn of the black guy. He struggled internally but ultimately admitted to being an undercover agent. The black guy said his name was Squala, a hunter with the ability to manipulate objects. He had already given a command using his ability, so even if he was identified, it might not be possible to pass. Just as he firmly believed that no one could leave, the purple-haired beauty bays unexpectedly stepped forward and gave him a kiss, triggering a 180-point love slave effect. The black guy instantly turned into a lapdog, continuously calling out to his master. Bays used this opportunity to extract information from him by stepping on him. In the midst of everyone's shock, the black guy revealed his ability. He was a dog breeder, and dogs under his command were positioned in various corners to attack anyone trying to leave. At Bays' request, the black guy immediately released his ability, allowing everyone to finally leave. At this point, Basho and the others began introducing themselves, with the exception of Kurapika, who remained cold and uninterested in making more friends. Under the moonlight, Kurapika walked alone through the forest, anticipating the auction and the opportunity to defeat the Phantom Troupe. His aura surged, and his fiery red eyes revealed his excitement. Kurapika vowed to use his eyes to send the troupe to hell. On the vast ocean, Killua and Gon sat on a boat and were about to reach Yorknew City. It had been half a year since they last saw Kurapika and Leorios. The thought of the four of them being able to gather together immediately was truly a happy thing. Of course, obtaining information about Greed Island and finding clues about Jing's whereabouts were also very important. At that moment, a messenger hawk flew in from the sky. It turned out that through hacking technology at home, the messenger hawk had helped Gon find the gaming website. The information Gon needed had finally been obtained. To search for clues about Greed Island, Gon and Killua went to an internet cafe to log into the Hunter-exclusive website to search for information. Unexpectedly, a tavern appeared on the computer screen. Clicking on the bartender in the image revealed content related to Greed Island. After spending 20 million Jenny, a burst of golden light emitted from the screen and transported Gon and Killua to the tavern. The bartender explained to them in person about the Greed Island game. There were a total of 100 sets of this game, developed by several NEN users. When the game started, the nun on top would pull the player into the game. Only NEN users could enter the game world, and as long as the player was alive in the game, even if the plug was pulled, the game would continue to operate. The game would only stop when the player died. Currently, a wealthy individual was recruiting professional hunters to challenge and clear the game. The bartender then mentioned that 7 sets of Greed Island games would be auctioned in Yorknew City, with a starting price as high as 8.9 billion. Gon was truly shocked to hear this, as it was 3 billion more than the original price. It was simply a staggering price. However, Gon remained confident in his heart, stating that he would definitely acquire the game for his father. Back in the real world, in order to raise funds to purchase the game, Gon and Killua prepared to sell treasures to make a profit. You should know that they earned 800 million Jenny in the Heavens Arena. So after a lot of effort in buying low and selling high, the two made a lot of money at the flea market. However, after changing scenes, the two sat desolately by the hot spring. Their original wealth of 800 million was reduced to only 10 million because Killua wanted to make even higher profits and chose to trade on an irregular website. Losing the capital was inevitable. Now the two had to find other ways to make money. On the other side, in the villa, Kurapika, Melody, and others had already found the treasures needed for the transformation. They entrusted a man and immediately passed the test. His name was Dalzaline. In fact, he was just the captain of the guard. After successfully recruiting the 4, he began to assign tasks. The first task for the group was to escort the boss to the restaurant in Yorknew City. However, Kurapika took on the role of the thorn in this first task. He wanted to know who would target the boss. But for Dalzaline, it didn't matter who it was. The bodyguard's task was just to protect the boss's safety. After assigning the task, Dalzaline took the group to meet the boss behind the scenes. However, when the bodyguard group saw the boss in the room, they were all shocked by her appearance. The so-called boss turned out to be a blue-haired cute girl named Neon. Her sweet smile was a stark contrast to the image of a gang leader. Everyone found it hard to understand because the image of a gang leader should be fierce and intimidating, right? But when they realized she was the person who collected human bodies, it all made sense. The next day, in a slightly sacred church, the members of the Phantom Troupe, who had been prepared for a long time, finally began to appear one after another. The first to arrive were the leader Krallo, as well as Shalnark and Finks. Then the sexy suit-wearing Lady Pakunada also showed up. Following them were the bandaged man Banolanov and the long-haired Kortopi covering his eyes. The muscular man with a lion's head, Uvijin, also promptly appeared. As there were still a group of members who would arrive later in the evening, the leader temporarily refrained from giving orders. This made Uvijin quite unhappy as he was really eager to know what the leader wanted him to do. Destruction and killing were what Uvijin most wanted to do. Fortunately, at that moment, the bespectacled cute girl Shizuku suddenly appeared, which made Uvijin stop his incessant chatter. On the other side, after Kurapika and his group disembarked from the airship, everyone boarded a car to escort Neon to the hotel. However, on the way, Dalzaline handed Neon a stack of documents, claiming they were from Neon's Mafia father's friend, hinting that her father seemed to want her to do something. This immediately triggered Neon's spoiled attitude, and she quickly called her father Neon Nostrade to demand something in return. After obtaining what she desired, the opportunity to personally attend the auction to bid on a princess's mummified body, Neon was ecstatic. She then immediately used her Nen ability, summoning a demon-like figure from her pen, which began writing continuously in a notebook. Neon's Nen ability allowed her to predict events that would occur within a month, a terrifying power to everyone. No wonder Neon's father, Nostrade, protected and pampered his daughter so much. Upon hearing this, Kurapika understood clearly that without this daughter, Neon's father would not have been able to reach his current position. As Kurapika and his group sped along the road in their car, Maki led Phaeton, Franklin, and Nobunaga's through the wilderness. This was the long-awaited reunion of the Phantom Troupe members after 3 years, and it was unexpected that both members 4 and 8 had been replaced. When the topic of Hisoka's inclusion was brought up, Phaeton was displeased. He believed that the leader should not continue to tolerate Hisoka. However, Nobunaga immediately retorted, stating that Hisoka's skills were impressive. The versatile ability of love is simply too useful. Upon hearing this, the tall and thin Franklin became very dissatisfied. Do you think the leader is afraid of Hisoka? The two immediately disagreed and began to fight. It seems that the members of the Phantom Troupe have a strong bond. In the evening, Kurapika and his group successfully arrived at the hotel. Dalzaline reported the results of the divination to Neon over the phone. In the poem written by Neon, it hinted that the 4 clients participating in the auction would all die. This indicates that danger awaits anyone who attends the auction. However, what Neon wants most now is to personally attend the auction and retrieve the princess's mummy. Neon's ability cannot be used on herself, so if she were to attend the auction, her fate might be similar to that of the 4 clients. Upon hearing this, Nostrade immediately excitedly instructed Dalzaline to take Neon back. However, with Neon's princess-like temperament, if she were to have an episode, who could control her? Nostrade had no choice but to instruct Dalzaline not to take Neon to the venue. After hanging up the phone, Nostrade sighed as he looked at the photo of himself and his daughter on the table. In any case, his precious daughter must not have any accidents. In the middle of the night, in the church, only Hisoka was missing among the 13 members of the Phantom Troupe. Just as everyone was complaining, a figure appeared in the corner. It was Hisoka, who had arrived late. Upon seeing everyone present, Uvijin immediately inquired about the leader's mission. The leader stated that they were to seize the treasures of the underground auction. While the crowd was still debating what the treasure was, the leader who had been hiding in the darkness finally revealed his handsome face. He declared that it was all the treasures. Upon hearing the leader's bold declaration to sweep everything clean, Uvijin couldn't help but react. You see, the auction is managed jointly by the world's underworld organizations. If they act recklessly, they would be against the underworld forces worldwide. But the leader, upon hearing this, narrowed his eyes. Are you afraid? He asked. Uvijin immediately revealed a chilling smile. His previous emotional outburst was not fear, but excitement for the upcoming chaos. Yuvajin urged the leader to give the order quickly, he was eager. At this moment, the leader remained indifferent. He specifically allowed everyone to eliminate anyone who might cause trouble. A massacre seemed inevitable. The Phantom Troupe was about to take action. Kurapika and others also received their mission. They were to acquire 3 items at the auction to satisfy Neon's desire for collecting: the full-body mummy of Princess Korko, a tissue used by a famous actor, and the eyeballs of the Kurta clan. Upon hearing the news about the Scarlet Eyes, Kurapika's expression changed instantly, catching the attention of Melody, who was nearby. The meeting day with the Yorknew City auction finally arrived on September 1st. Gon and Killua first went to the market to shop around and planned to buy a cell phone. Just as they were about to be deceived by the shop owner, Leorio's appeared. With Leorio's, the master of bargaining, they finally got the most advanced phone at half the price. This really made the shop owner doubt life. However, Leorio's non abilities were not that great. He only learned one ability and hadn't even heard of the 4 major principles. The gap between him and Gon was quite large. Funny thing is, he thought he had already mastered none. Meanwhile, Maluki was frustrated trying to crack the program of Greed Island. Since manpower couldn't solve the problem, he decided to use money power. So, Maluki planned to buy the game at the Yorknew City. However, he only had 12.7 billion in funds and couldn't be sure if he could take down Greed Island. So, he called his father and borrowed 15 billion, with the condition of helping the other kill 15 people. In Yorknew City, to bid for the mummy of Princess Coco, Dalzaline sent a bodyguard, Monkey Boy, and Baze to form a 3-person team to bid. Basho and bodyguard Linson were in charge of monitoring the back door, while Kurapika and Melody were in charge of the front door. Squala and Dalzaline were responsible for protecting the young lady. At the Yorknew City market, to help Gon raise money to buy the game, Leorio's came up with an idea. He took out a diamond worth 3 million and wanted passers-by to pay 1,000 to compete with Gon in arm wrestling. If they beat Gon, they could get the diamond. Seeing that Gon was just a skinny kid, countless citizens took out money to participate. At this moment, Gon remembered Leorio's advice to barely win by controlling his arm strength and occasionally pretending to be in pain, as this was the only way to keep making money. Soon Gon welcomed his first opponent, a black-skinned strongman who held Gon's hand with a fierce momentum. As soon as the match started, the two fell into a long stalemate. In order to perform the difficult effect, Gon shouted and twisted his face in pain again and again. Finally, he barely won the victory. Then Gon continued to face the second challenger. Beside him, Killua watched coldly. Although cheating to win money could earn 10,000 jenny at a time, to make 8.9 billion, when will it end? This is really a good idea. Unconsciously, Gon had already won 150 people. At this time, another player came to challenge. Unexpectedly, it was the Phantom Troupe's Shizuku. After Shizuku paid the challenge fee, she started the match with Gon. Unexpectedly, the two tangled for a long time until Gon barely won in the end. After Shizuku left, Killua asked Gon if he was acting, and Shizuku also praised Gon's wrist strength. She was a little regretful that she didn't get the diamond she wanted. Phaeton then asked Shizuku why she didn't compete with Gon using her left hand. After all, she was left-handed. When Shizuku came to her senses, she immediately realized her mistake and wanted to compete again. However, the troupe was about to take action, and the match did not fit the troupe's style. They always just snatch what they want. Because Dalzaline doesn't allow her to participate in the auction, causing Neon to get angry. She kept throwing things in the room in a fit of temper, smashing Dalzaline's head full of bags. Fortunately, after the commotion, Neon fell into a deep sleep. Seizing a moment of peace, Dalzaline immediately expressed to Nostrade that when the young lady wakes up, she will definitely continue causing trouble. He won't be able to handle it by himself then. Nostrade had to reluctantly agree to come over as soon as possible. Now, the top priority for everyone is to acquire treasures to make Neon happy. After hanging up the phone, Dalzaline used his phone to inquire about the situation at the auction site from Kurapika. Kurapika said everything was normal at the main entrance. He looked at the auction building opposite, unable to help but eagerly anticipate the arrival of the Phantom Troupe. Melody, who was nearby, heard Kurapika's heartbeat. She couldn't help but speak up. The heartbeat just now was as full of anger as when they first met. And when she saw the information about the Scarlet Eyes before, Kurapika's heartbeat was even more filled with anger. There must be a connection between the Scarlet Eyes and Kurapika. Melody voiced her doubts about Kurapika. Unable to deceive her, Kurapika revealed his Kurta clan identity. His goal is to retrieve the Scarlet Eyes that are scattered outside with his companions. At this point, Kurapika already harbored murderous intent towards Melody. He sternly asked if she would tell Dalzaline about this. But Melody had already seen through this. She said she didn't want to die. Kurapika was surprised by Melody's response and immediately asked her about her reasons for being a bodyguard. It turns out Melody is also a hunter. Her goal is to find a piece of sheet music called the Dark Sonata. This piece of music is said to be a solo piece composed by the Demon King, divided into 4 parts for piano, violin, flute, and harp. If a human performs or listens to this sonata, they will face terrifying disasters. Kurapika finds it hard to believe in the existence of a Demon King. So, Melody rolls up her sleeves to reveal her arms, which have withered like tree trunks. This shocks Kurapika immensely. Melody indicates that this is just the result of listening to one movement. She and her friends were drunk at the time, so they were feeling bold. The Melody's friend who played the piece died on the spot, and her own arm was destroyed after listening to a movement. Melody feels responsible for all this and wants to find the score to make it disappear from the world completely. At the same time, she wants her body to return to normal. She and Kurapika are actually of the same kind.
The video ends here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your comments to support the channel. New anime series will be uploaded regularly on 21st Century Anime. Thank you.